guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl right here, Jermaine. Thank you so much guys for coming back. Thank you so much for sharing this video. Thank you so much for subscribing. I'm very happy. I'm very excited. Today it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful Sunday, and I'd like to share with you 5 things in the marriage. I'd like to share with you 5 things that I think it breaks the marriage apart. So without taking too much time, let's go into details and let's talk about those 5 things. So I just want to start with one of the things that I think that breaks the marriage. I think it's sex. Whereby you find that you're like you don't do sex enough. I know when you like before you get married, you feel like sometimes you feel like, oh my god, when you get married you have to do sex all the time. You have to do sex like Monday to Sunday. But when you get married, especially when there's kids involved, sometimes it gets lower, or it gets it doesn't basically become easier. So, and it depends with people. Some people, they feel like they may even think that you're not interested in them. They may feel like they are not interested in you, like you are not interested in them, or they may feel like you don't give them enough attention since you guys get married, because sex before marriage is completely different. Because maybe before you get married, maybe you have the whole time, maybe you are you have the whole time, you have the time to make it or whatever. But when you get married, there's a lot of things get involved, because maybe you have kids, maybe you have have bills to pay, have things to take care of. So you find yourself, or you find that you guys as a partner, you don't do enough sex, and that can actually break the marriage, because of if especially the other partner or the other person is feeling like you're not there for them. So I believe, and I think that's one of the things breaks the marriages. I know some people, even if maybe they used to do sex, I would say once a month, or they do it, I would say, 3, 4, 5 times a week. And if you don't do that, if you don't do the routine, the things you used to do, it can actually break the marriage. It can actually start questioning left and right, and you find that instead of your partner talking to you, you find out they just feel like you're not there for them. So I think that's a good thing, especially people who are married, to think about it, to always have time, to always create this romantic routine or romantic time for their partner, so that they can always feel like you're there, you're there emotionally, you're there physically, so that you guys don't have to separate, right? So the other thing too, I think like I know for the fact that communication is a big part. Communication is the really important when it comes about marriage, because if you don't communicate, because I can say something, I can say A, but you as listening what I just said, you can think that I said B. So if you guys don't communicate enough, if you guys you don't actually sit down, you talk about the issues, or you don't talk about what's happening, it can actually break your marriage. Because you especially when you guys have an argument and nobody's listening to another, or let's say like I'm mad and the other person is the one who maybe I'm mad, I'm the one who's screaming, and the other person feels like you're not showing them the respect. They may feel like they are you are not doing the things you're supposed to do. Because guess what, if your partner feels like the communication is not enough, not only the partner, both of you, if you guys don't communicate, there's so much things can go wrong. There's so much things, and you find out the little things that it was not supposed to take 2 weeks to solve it, it's taking forever, because you guys not communicating. So I feel like when you're in marriage, like when you have your partner or spouse, or you are in marriage, you're supposed to communicate whatever the situation. Even if the situation right now maybe it's not good, maybe no one is listening to each other, you guys you have to calm down. You have to feel like, okay, yeah, I'm mad, you're mad, okay, and then what? Anyways, we're still married, let's talk about this. Because if you talk about it, at least you can hear the other side of the other partner or the other spouse, and then maybe you'll be even surprised. You'll be like, oh, I thought you said this. Oh, I thought you meant this. Oh, I thought, yeah. Why? Because the person says something and you hear something else, and you guys you don't talk about it, and then guess what? It's just gonna keep getting worse. So I one of my advice, I feel like, you know, communicating in marriage is very important because it helps you guys, for both of you, to grow, but also to understand the other person, but also not only to understand, but to know what they mean. Because you say this, what do you mean? You ask questions, you know. So I feel like communication is really, 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 really important in the marriage. So the third thing I would say, money, you know, financially. So I feel like some people, there's people who, you know, who marries the other person because they have money, maybe their family, they're rich, you know, things like that. So, and when that money goes away, you find yourself, you don't want to even be around, you don't, you know, because, you know, that was your first reaction. That was the reason why you got married. So if that happens, the person loses a job or the money is gone, you know, the person is gonna feel like, oh, why am I here? You know, it's like you got married for money. That's one. Two, I would say, like, when you're married, and then let's say the other person loses a job, and maybe they didn't even have a lot of money, but just because you guys are married, and the other person, let's say the person gets sick, let's say get an accident, that you can't even work anymore, and then for example, let's say they cut their leg, like they don't have a leg anymore, or eyes or hands or whatever situation it is. The person is not eligible to work, or he can't even work because of his or her disability. So because of that, it puts you in the situation where you feel like you don't want to belong there. You feel like you don't want to be part of it, because the big decision, or the big point why you got married, because you were like, okay, everything's gonna go well, nothing is gonna go wrong. But marriage is not about money. Marriage is not about, because you're like this, that's why I'm here. If you change, I'm gonna go away. No, marriage it should be like, whatever happens while you're sick, if you're sick, if you get an accident, if things are doing good, if things are doing terrible, things are doing worse, I will always be here for you. I will always be here to support you. I will always be here to be with you, So I feel like financial situation or money, it shouldn't be one of the things that you guys can actually break up or whatever, because then that means you don't actually love the person. Because even if one of you don't have money, you can work together. You're one team, If one person can do it, you can do it. Try to put the family together and try to fight for the family, because that's the whole point. If you guys are one team, that means you have the same mind, that means you have the same goal, that means you have the same power to make it work, right? So I feel like financial situation or money, it shouldn't be something that can actually break you, or can break your marriage. So then, because that's not love, when you love someone, you love them for who they are. You don't love them for their money. You don't love them for where they come from. You don't love them from their background. You just love them as a person. So I feel like that's too is something very, very, very important, to always love the person who they are. Because you know what, guys, I remember before I got married to my husband, when he proposed, I was so excited. I was like, oh, I'm getting married. And before we actually got married, like I would say like 2 or 3 weeks before, I started getting so scared, getting anxiety. I was like, no way, I'm not doing this. I can't do it. I can't get married. I was so scared because I didn't actually understand. I was just scared, like, okay, so yes, I said yes to Edmund. Then what's gonna happen? I'm actually gonna get married? Like, it's actually happening. When you have like a 2-3 weeks on the line before you say I do, it's actually closer, right? So I was so scared, and I started asking myself these questions. I'm like, okay, that means in 2 to 3 weeks from now, if we get married, if Edmund is sick, if Edmund got into an accident, if Edmund something happens to them, whatever situation, am I gonna be there? I started asking those questions for myself to actually understand what I'm gonna go through, or what I'm about to sign for, if I'm ready, if I will be always there if I always bear for him, if I always bear for us. So I asked those questions for myself. I asked it in my head. I was so scared. I was in love with him, but at the same time, I was scared, especially when the days keeps getting closer, like it, you know, for the day of our wedding, whatever, I was so scared, so scared. I remember even I told him like, hey, I was really scared, and he could tell. He was like, "Hey, what's going on? Just chill and calm down. It's you who before you were so excited. No, what's happening? Why are you changing at the last minute?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm so scared. I don't know if I can do it." And once I started asking those questions, if something happens to him, am I gonna be there for him? If let's say he gets into an accident, they cut his legs or eyes or hands or something, and then he can't be able to work anymore, am I gonna be there for him? Am I gonna still in love with him? And I started asking those questions. I started asking those questions in my head, asking myself. And I actually find out, yes, I will be there for him. I'll be there no matter what happens. I'll be there for him. If he loses the job, if he gets into an accident, if something happens to him, I will always be there for him. Then after that moment, I felt like I was released, because before I was not asking myself those questions. So I feel like until you actually hit all those negative part, for you to know for sure that are you gonna be there for, if something happens financially, will you still be with this person? So once I answered those questions for myself without no one be around, only myself, basically testing myself, I realized, yes, I'm ready. Yes, I love him. Yes, I want to be with him forever. And then, I was ready. I was ready to say yes, because if you don't ask those questions for yourself to test yourself, basically, what do you think is going to happen if something happens to that person without you putting yourself together, knowing exactly what you're getting into? So, in that moment, I actually realized, yes, I'm in love with him. I love him. No matter what happens, I'll always be there for them. I'll always support. I'll always fight for our marriage. I'll always be there. So the other thing that actually breaks the marriage for many people, not everybody, but some people, I would say not having a baby. So not having a baby, it's actually a big thing, especially for Africans. You may not, you may spend 5 years together. You guys are married for 5 years, maybe even 10 years. And you feel like, okay, God is going to do it. God is going to do it. God is going to do it. But in those 5-10 years you've been married, you always feel like you can actually start feeling like, oh my God, my husband is going to go somewhere else. Oh my God, my wife is going to go somewhere else. Oh my God. And some people, they start dating outside of their marriage. They start having kids outside of their marriage because they already believe, they already put themselves together. Oh, we're not going to have a baby. We're not going to have a baby. And if you start having sex outside of your marriage, guess what? If your wife or your partner finds out, or your husband finds out, it's going to be just a problem. Divorce is going to be on the line. Things are going to start happening. You guys are not going to, like so much things are going to start happening. So, you should always believe that God will provide whatever happens, even if after 25 years, even if it doesn't happen, because you didn't marry someone for kids. You married them because you want to be with them. You married them because you want to live your whole life with them. So I feel like people who feel like, oh, if I don't have a baby, I'm going to quit. I can't do it. No, but if you just need a baby, you don't have to have a husband. You can just go, here in Canada, there's a technology. You can just go, you get the, how do they call them? Like these wives who actually get pregnant for you, and then they become pregnant for you. Or you just go maybe for orphans, and then you grab one kid and then you take care of them. You don't have to go through the divorce, whatever. If the only reason you're getting married just for a baby, you don't have to get married. You can just go and grab the baby somewhere, maybe for orphans, or maybe these, as I said, these wives who actually get pregnant for people. And you can always do those, all of those are just options. But if you actually getting married, it's because you want to live with this person no matter what happens. Without kid, you're there. You're there 100%. You're there to live with these people, or this person, or this partner, this spouse. You're there to live your life with them. So as I said, that's one of the things that actually breaks the marriage, and it shouldn't, because it's not him or her who creates the baby or who gives the baby. It's only God. So I believe that whatever situation is happening, it's just a matter of time. Even if it doesn't happen, you should always know you're here to stay. You're here to love this person. You're here to actually to build a family together, no matter what happens. Okay, so my last point, it's a trust issues. By the way, trust issues, I think it's really, even that is actually very important, because when in your marriage there's trust issues, your husband doesn't trust you, your wife doesn't trust you, it can actually create a disaster, because you find out like, hey, because you guys, you don't trust each other, or one of the other person doesn't trust each other, you start to, every time your husband or your wife talking to the other person, you want to know, oh, who is talking to you, oh, who is doing that, oh, who is sending you the message, oh, who is doing that. Like, you keep doing all of this because of the trust issues, because you are not believing that your partner is actually there for you. So, or basically, I don't even know how you can live the life like that, because you get tired. You can't always be in the other person's phone. Oh, who is texting you? Oh, who is doing that? Oh, what's gonna happen? Oh, what's happening? Oh, who called you in the morning? Oh, who called you last night? Oh, who did that? Oh, who did... You can't always like that. You're gonna make that person not to trust you. You're gonna make that person feel uncomfortable. One of the story that I can give, one of the example that I can give, I remember when I was still dating, when I was still in high school. One of my ex, he was a good man, but at the same time, he never ever trusted me. Every time when I talk to someone, he was always on my phone. He was always chasing me. Like, imagine this guy. I was actually in love with him, and guess what happened? After, because the way he treats me nice, but at the same time he doesn't trust me. So it became at the point where I was not in love with him anymore. I was like, anyways, this guy, he doesn't trust me. Whatever I do, even if I become an angel from heaven, he's not gonna believe me. He's not gonna trust me. And guess what? I was not even doing nothing at all. At the end of the day, guess what happened? What happened? I started doing things. I was like, anyways, you don't trust me, whatever. Which, yeah, I shouldn't do that, but because I didn't have that, I didn't feel like he was, anyways, he was not trusting me. So I started feeling like, why even bothering myself? Whatever I do, either something nice, something wrong. This guy, he doesn't trust me at all. So, and I started not loving him. I started just be there, whatever happens, whatever. And at the end of the day, the love completely, finished. I started not loving him at all. Until I come to realize at the end, I was like, wait, what happened to me? It's because I felt already this guy doesn't trust me, and he shows me. When I talk to the person, or when I'm texting someone, he wants to know, oh, who is that? Where are you? So I feel like in relationship or in the marriage, you shouldn't bring trust issues, because it can actually break your marriage. You can actually make the other person feel like they're not being trusted, but also if they feel like there's no point of trying to make it work, or there's no point of being nice, or just be a good person, because anyways, whatever happens or whatever you do, this person, he's not gonna trust you, or he will never trust you. So, like, those are the 5 things that I would like to share with you. Those are the 5 things that I believe that it breaks the marriage many times. I'm not saying those are only things. Those are 5 things that I think that's are very important, but also are the things that breaks the marriage the most. So I feel like everybody should learn from it. You should always communicate. You should always trust your partner. You should always be there for them, whatever happens, situation, money or no money, financially, losing a job or having a job. You should always love them. The other thing I said, communicate all the time. Don't try to hide things. Don't try to talk to the other person or someone else. Your partner should always be your best friend. You should always feel like you can be free. You can talk to them. You can communicate with anything happens. What else did I say? So, like, yeah, all of that thing, you should always feel like you deserve, or they deserve to hear you. They deserve to know or to understand, and to feel like you deserve them. And you too as well, they deserve you. So both ways. So thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for coming back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your comments. I wish you have a wonderful day. I wish you have a wonderful Sunday. Thank you so much for everything. See you guys next time. I love you. Bye bye.